What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another deck profile here on TCGU University for the card game UniVersus. My name's Tam, and today we're going to be taking a look at a budget Donovan deck. Let's jump in it. All right, so Donovan is one of those characters that you can give to pretty much anybody, and we've decided this week to take and look at a budget version of Donovan. The whole goal of this week for all of these Campus Championship deck profiles is that we are not going to be going over $50 for the entire deck. So if you're brand new, you're not super committed, or you're looking to just pick up a fun, functional deck, then here is what we got for you. So Donovan, what he does is he gets rewarded for blocking, whether it be your block or your opponent's, and he says if you have a bunch of keywords on your cards, you're going to get bonuses or negatives based on if it's my attack or your attack, so on and so forth. And so just all around, he just plays really, really good, fair UniVersus. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the attack lineup. So we're playing Under Death. We're playing a pretty fun rare. We're playing Macabre Obscure. This card lets you trade any card from your hand, like a foundation or whatever, and it turns itself into an attack. Having it have three keywords: Fury, Safe, and Weapon. That's these small tech boxes up in the above the enhance. This is now 4 mid for 6 with Donovan's ability that if it's blocked, it gets to replace itself. So not only is it picking up an additional attack, and if it has the weapon keyword, you get +2 to your check. Newsflash, all of our attacks have the weapon keyword. But then we also get to replace it unless they want to just take 6 damage. In addition to Macabre Obscure, we're also playing Voldo's Elegant Death Rose. Kind of the same idea of Macabre Obscure, but instead of my opponent picking an attack to give to me, now they're going to be discarding a card, and it's another copy of Donovan's ability, which says it gets +1 damage for each of the keywords on the card. And so with Elegant Death Rose, let's say that they're forced to copy Elegant Death Rose. It's already an 8 damage attack. With Donovan, it becomes 12. It's a 5 high for 12 that lets you draw a card if they block it. It's just like a really, really strong card. Just very, very, very potent, aggressive plays. Moving on to the second kind of engine in the deck, we're playing 3 Rhythm. Peregrine? I can't pronounce it. Peregrine Rhythm it has 4 keywords, so it's a 4 high for 8. If my opponent has taken Momentum, which is a good resource into the game, I'm going to burn them for some additionals, and in addition to that, their checks are going to get -1. There's not a lot of speed buffs that happen inside this deck. A lot of it's just like, hey, I'm going to play a bunch of more attacks if you happen to be blocking my attacks because of Donovan's response. And so this just makes blocking harder for the rest of the turn. In the same vein, we're also playing Snare Boulder Crush. Snare is a 5 high for 3, 5 high for 7, if I'm looking at it, with the keyword and Donovan's ability, and it gets powerful equal to my opponent's momentum. And so not only am I going to be burning them for the momentum, I'm going to be giving this thing a ton of damage. And on a 5 high for 3 that easily could be the 3rd attack with -1 to their checks, they've already blocked a couple times. Let me draw a couple cards. This card can absolutely close out the game. And then the last attack that we're playing is double Lily 2's Ingress. This card does only have 3 keywords, so it's a 3 mid for 8. But it gets speed based on sealing one of my opponent's cards. And if I could discard a momentum, it and Snare Boulder are like the only big momentum outs that we have attack-wise in the deck. So it gives itself speed. We seal one of their problem cards. We give it a little extra damage. We give it damage off itself. This thing can easily be a haymaker. And as a reversal, this thing can just change the course of the entire game. Up next, we're playing 4 Demon Realm Awakening. These are now into our actions. This is Donovan's action. It says, basically, it's Donovan's Enhance again, and if my opponent's in deadlock, I get to add a copy of Demon Realm up to my hand, or after I block with this card, I can draw a card, and if I block to throw, it deals no damage. Inside of our budget list, throws are incredibly good for the price point that they're at. So inside of this budget tournament, we had a ton of throw decks, and this card puts in so much work. I highly suggest you picking up a playset of these. Up next, we've also, into our foundations, we're playing our first aggressive foundation, which is OG Mecha Ninja. All of our attacks are weapons, and so they do get the bonus of my next check to play a weapon card gets +2, so I can play out a bunch of big, long strings. But more importantly, I can just check for a little extra stats. Here is where I get my speed on my high attacks, which most of my attacks are, or a little extra damage on my mid attacks, all by just checking additional resources off the top of my deck. Very, very potent card, especially when you get 2 or 3 of these triggers stacked up. Up next, we're playing 1 Blood for Blood as our last aggressive card. I'll pay 2 Vitality. If you block it, you'll lose 2, but that also means that you'll lose 2 and I'll draw a card. And so it kind of just puts a bit of a damper on my opponent wanting to block additional things. You could call a little bit of disruption, but it does damage, so I'll put it in aggressive. Under our flow cards, we're playing Triple Recovering Lost Treasures. This just lets me play big, long strings. Like I said, having the cards in hand in order to discard with Recovering Lost Treasures is very, very good, especially with Donovan drawing extra stuff. And the way that we're going to be pushing damage through is not by playing one really fast attack, but by playing so many attacks that they can't deal with it. They blocked a couple times. I just got my resource back, and then I continue on. Up next, we're playing 4 Jolly Gloomy. This really snares Boulder Barrage as well as Rhythm in order to ping them for just a little bit extra, as well as it is momentum control. So if I don't want them to have that momentum, I can take it away from them. Up next, we've got 4 Thousand Duels. This card is just flip, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. If you find one of the weapons find a weapon in your deck, you get to add it to your hand. Sometimes it's a draw 2, but sometimes it's a draw 0. You got to be a little careful with it. Onto some defense. We're playing Force to Naked Target. This card's fantastic. It's really good on board because of it being a 0 diff. It's really good on top of the deck because of a 6, and it's really good in hand because of the 0 low block, and I get to draw a card afterwards. Donovan just basically says all of his blocks are tutors. And so after you block with this card, you lose a Vitality, but that's totally okay because we get to replace it with Donovan. In order to make sure that our blocks happen, we are playing 4 Conquest of Terror, just a flip for -2 speed, or if my opponent's at deadlock, or excuse me, desperation, I can commit it for -4 speed, get a little extra value out of it. And the big thing about this card is that it just says that Donovan's redraw is like super, super live. Really important in this character. Triple Telekinetic Mastery. This card makes blocking very easy. If my opponent starts pumping damage, I can make the block with Donovan simple. Or if they start pumping speed, I can give it minus damage and then commit an additional resource to give it even more minus damage. This is just a really good utility card all around. Up next, we've got 4 His Gift of Immortal Blood. Once again, I can commit and give them a momentum to make my Tira cards work, or I can discard one of my momentum. This is probably the best thing to use my momentum for, and say if my opponent has at least 1 momentum, they probably will, especially with His Gift, I get to give their attack a -5 speed, which makes blocking this exceptionally easy. This card is just like a discard momentum, block a card for free, draw a card. My last defensive card that I have is Double Murderous Addiction. If they have a momentum as my first enhance, if I'm in desperation, I can remove this and reduce their attack's damage to 0. If they pump it a little bit, I'll just kick it back down with Donovan. Assets are also very strong, and this card does protect you from assets. So if you're fighting something that has a little bit bigger of a budget, this card can come in play for sure. On the last stack, we've got some disruption cards. We've got 4 Keiko's A. Because of how much blocking we're doing inside of this deck, after I block, I can flip, draw my card, and then give their next attack +2 difficulty. So it kind of ends their turn. It lets me grab an extra resource. This card's just all around fantastic. It should be at a 4 of in Donovan and pretty much a 3 of it in anybody else. And then my last card is Double My Beautiful Child. There are some cards in the game that just wreck Donovan and wreck this entire strategy. And so if I can trade 1-for-1 foundation to get rid of one of my opponent's really good foundations, I'm going to do so. Some of these foundations that my opponent have, like, they might just be like really strong, really, I'll say it, expensive cards. Well, I would rather take my very cheap card and just trade it for their expensive one and just not have to deal with it. This card also gets around destruction removal, since it never goes into their staging area, and it gets added to their momentum. They can't do anything to stop it like Ageless Enlicer or whatever. I'm just like, oh, actually, no, thank you. And so there you have it. There is the Donovan deck that we played for this week's Campus Championship, the Budget Battle. If you liked this deck and you want to see more about it, make sure you check out the matches that Donovan played here out on the channel. They'll be on their own separate playlist. And if you want to support the show and catch these events live, excuse me, please go out to Twitch, twitch.tv/TCG University. Follow out there. We go live every Tuesday playing a brand new 8-character top 8 event. And lastly, the best way to support us and keep the lights on is going to Patreon, patreon.com/TCG University. You get a ton of extra content, like access to the podcast and so on and so forth. So from all of us here at TCGU, thank you very much for watching and stay learned.